Hi, everybody, and this is Guess Who's Coming to Dinner with Mr. Dan Potts. How are you, Pottsy?
I'm very well, thanks, Kev, and
Looking
it's an absolute
very
pleasure.
smart. Looking very
Thank you, mate.
smart.
Well, listen, I had to dress for the occasion. I had to try and catch up with you. I know you are Mr. Dicky by himself, so I thought
Dicky
I'd try and
Bo.
make the effort.
Nice one, nice one. Dan, before we get into it, mate, we've the boys have done pretty well over the last week. I know the Villa game didn't go so well, but the two really most important games, which were Liverpool and Man City, the boys turned up.
Mate, unbelievable. I mean, it's just typical Arsenal, isn't it? You know, you see us against Aston Villa and things go to pot, but against the big teams, Arteta seems to be able to get these boys to turn up. And I thought that was the most complete performance I've seen under Mikel Arteta against Man City. You know, everybody just knew what they had to do. And after a bit of a shaky start from Bellerin and Mustafi, they really picked it up. Obviously, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, I thought, was outstanding.
Yeah.
Kieran Tierney's turning into one of my favourite players. And Aubameyang just proves that, as you know, when strikers miss a chance, sometimes their head can go down. And he just doesn't. You know, he just continues to go on. Great ball from Pepe, great first goal, and the composure for the second for me, outstanding. And you know, and I've got to give credit to players that I have slated over the last few months in Xhaka and David Luiz, who was by far my man of the match.
Yeah.
Looks so much better in the back three, Kev. So, mate, it's a great performance, and we're in the FA Cup final. And who would have thought it after this season that we've had, man?
Very true, very true. You know, Dan, I look at that side, and we've often spoke about it. We don't know what team's going to turn up, do we? You know, you look at them, and you, when you expect a good performance, they don't perform. When you've got no expectation, they turn up. But to turn up in the two big games, obviously Liverpool are champions, worthy champions, and you know, for anybody who thinks Liverpool had the sandals on and all that, no chance. They really wanted that points record. But Arsenal defended incredibly. And to be fair, I thought because they defended so well in that game, Dan, they might have blown themselves out in the Man City game. But I don't know what it is. I'm just confident in a one-off game, Arsenal could do the business. Consistently, no, not at the moment. But, you know, I was so proud of that performance on Saturday.
Absolutely. I think as well, when you look at the one-off games, anything can happen in a cup game. And I said that, you know, form goes out the window. It doesn't matter what happens. But I just wonder if Mikel Arteta learned more in 90 minutes under Jose Mourinho against Spurs than he has over Pep Guardiola for the last 3 years, because it seemed to me that that was the kind of performance that Jose would have put in and people would have gone mental about. But as soon as it's Arsenal, it's seen as, you know, we're not quite the same business. But I think against Man City, everybody understood what their role was. And I just want to touch on Maitland-Niles quickly before we move on, because for me, this guy looked like he was dead and buried in the Arsenal side. You know, he didn't look like he was going to wear an Arsenal shirt again. His attitude apparently was poor. There was rumours that he was one of the people that missed the Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
But he's really picked his attitude up. I think he's picked his performance up. And I think he's understood that actually, let's not be a baby about it. There's a chance for me here. I'm 22 years old. I am, in my opinion, I still believe he is the best right back we've got. I like what he does. I think he's got the attributes to be a modern day fullback, playing right or left. And let's not forget that he has now kept Riyad Mahrez quiet, Adama Traore quiet, Wilfred Zaha quiet, and Anthony Martial quiet. And they are decent players.
Yeah.
So this lad's got something, Kevin. I think that he could be a special talent if worked properly under Arteta.
I think what was quite significant as well, Dan, after the game, where, you know, Arteta's going around all the players and he kind of gave him a hug and picked him up, like to say, I knew you could do, you know, something like that for a young player is so important, because that's the trust of your manager. I think that's really important. So, listen, I love seeing it. I love to see Arsenal win, as you do. But I just think that togetherness is coming. And you're right about Tierney, by the way. That guy don't mess about. And, you know, Salah, he dealt with Salah one in midweek, and then he's dealing with all of that Man City plethora of attacking options. I just thought they were magnificent. Anyway, look, we could crow on about all this, Dan. Let's get busy with your Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Let me just tell you the format, and then we could get going. So, you're the head of the table, and you're going to be joined by 8 people of your choice. You're going to choose first 10 players, 2 management duos, and 3 of your favorite celebrities. and then we're going to start whittling them down. So you got in the end, you're going to have to eliminate 5 players, 1 management duo, and 2 celebs. So you're going to be left with 5 players, 1 management duo, and 1 celeb at your table, and then we go from there. I know. Listen, it sounds easy, but you
No,
know
it's
what?
not.
When you choose it, when you get all the guys, and then you got to whittle them down, it gets difficult. So, okay, do you want to start on your celebs, Dan, or do you want to start on your management duos, or do you want to start on your players?
Let me start on the celebs so I can get to the football after that. Is that all
Yeah,
right?
yeah, of course.
Cool, cool. So my first celeb is my favorite actor, Denzel Washington.
Oh,
Absolute legendary actor. People go on about Leonardo DiCaprio, Tom Hanks. This guy beats him hands down. There's not a bad film this guy is in. He is in all of my favorite films, whether it's Training Day, Man on Fire. Does not bother me who this guy is by far the best. And people say to me, who's your favorite actor? I say him straight away. There's fantastic actors, don't get me wrong, but this is the easiest question anyone ever asks me because people say, what's your favorite song? What's your favorite music? But, you know, that's hard. There's so
yeah.
many. For me, actors comes to just boom, like that, Denzel Washington. So
It's
he's number one without a doubt.
it's effortless with Denzel as well, isn't it? It looks
Oh,
effortless. He's just so polished. Even in the Equalizer, he was brilliant. I'll be honest with you.
I
Uh,
loved it.
so who's number 2, Dan?
So I want to bring this guy in. It is sport related, but my other love is after football is Formula One, and a lot of people is a little bit marmite with this guy. But for me, he's hands down the best Formula One driver behind Ayrton Senna, and it's Lewis Hamilton. Um,
The
I
Gooner as
love
well,
Lewis
which is
Hamilton,
good.
and he's a gooner, yeah, which always helps. But I love Lewis, and I think that when you're that good at your sport, it doesn't bother me what your attitude is like outside of the sport. But I'd always been interested to know what his attitude was like because he comes across as, you know, this guy who just loves the sport and loves passion and just wants to talk about Formula One. So for me, that was an easy one. It was between him and Ayrton Senna, and I'm more interested to know about Lewis Hamilton right now because I knew that Ayrton Senna was a wonderful,
Yeah,
wonderful man.
incredible. Yeah, incredible guy. Yeah. So who's your third?
So we need a little bit of humour. And unfortunately, this guy is no longer with us. But growing up, this guy was in some of my favourite films. This guy was a hilarious human being and a wonderful human being. And his name is Robin Williams. I
Brilliant.
absolutely loved Robin Williams. Everything about him just made me laugh, whether he was the Aladdin in Genie, Mrs. Doubtfire, or in Jumanji, or stand-up comedy. The guy made me laugh. And he was just a wonderful man. And I always could relate to his depression and his mental health issues because I've gone through my own stuff like that, and I just absolutely loved the guy and thought he was an absolute genius. So for me, that was an easy one. Robin Williams.
Well, I tell you what, yes, you got some celebs there, boy. I tell you, how you gonna whittle that down? I don't know. So, do you want to do management duos next, and
Yeah,
leave the
go for it.
players? Yeah, leave the
Yeah,
players
go
till
for it.
last. Okay.
My first management duo is Arsene Wenger and Pat Rice. Growing up, I was a huge George Graham fan, but my main and kind of vivid memories of Arsenal were under Arsene Wenger. And I think with Pat Rice, what was so great about him was being Arsene Wenger's number 2. No one appreciates until Pat Rice was no longer there
Yeah.
because it hasn't really or never really worked for him since he'd gone. I don't think people appreciated how much of a legend Pat Rice is in terms of Arsenal. And obviously George and yourself will know him really, really well.
Yeah.
But I just loved that duo. And I thought that the unbeaten season and the picture for me, or the video clip for me, when Arsenal got to the Champions League final after we beat Villarreal, the hug that they had there was like brothers. You know, that was not I've done this, we've done this, me and
Yeah.
you have done this. And I absolutely love that duo. So that is the first one for me, Arsene Wenger and Pat Rice.
Right.
The
Okay.
second is one that I unfortunately never got to witness, but I've read up about and love so much. And it's Cloughy and Taylor because I watched the Damned United and Michael Sheen was absolutely exceptional in that and played, I thought, Brian Clough off to a T. And the pair of them together, just there was so much. It was brutal. It was ruthless. It was love. It was passion. And you see what they did with the Leeds and Derby, and obviously what Cloughy went on to do with Forest. Those two for me have to be a mention without a doubt.
And when you're talking about unfavored clubs as well,
Yeah.
to buck the trend. And now Cloughie was such a great character. I swear to you, he was. I've had my run-ins with him. Trust me, as you probably heard. But he was such a loving man. He was such a nice man. And then obviously I went to Nottingham Forest, and I hear the stories from all the guys there. I tell you what, mate, just to be around the guy would have been absolutely hilarious on a full-time basis. So, Dan, you've got your celebs, you've got your management duos. Who are your 10 players, mate?
Hmm. I cannot do
Do I,
this
do I
without
know the
naming.
first one?
Man, you definitely know number
All
one.
right.
That's
I'm just going to put his initials in because, go on, you say
you
it, but I
know,
know.
you know my love for Righty. You know that I cannot leave this guy out. He's the reason I support Arsenal. He's the reason I love football. And for everyone who's watched Who Are Yous with me and you, they know my love for Ian Wright. And I've said enough about the guy, but I cannot leave him out. So Ian Wright is definitely my number one.
Cool.
Um, Moving on to number 2 and 3, for me, it's really hard to leave the 3 best players out that ever played for Arsenal Football Club being a Gooner. And number 2 and 3 are Thierry Henry and Dennis Bergkamp. I don't think there is anybody that can disagree that Thierry Henry and Dennis Bergkamp were the best 2 Arsenal players in history. I think when you look at goal scorers, Henry was the best. When you look at footballers, Bergkamp was the best. And people always say to me, who was better? For me, Dennis Bergkamp's the best player to ever wear the shirt. Thierry Henry is the best striker. And for me, Ian Wright is my favourite player. So all 3 of them get a nod for me, and that's the only way that I can kind of
Get him in. It's the
get
only
them
way
all
you
in.
can
Yeah,
get him
exactly.
in. You
So
maneuvered well there, Dan.
so those 3 walk in for me in terms of the first 3 players. The other 2 players I've mentioned to make up 4 and 5 is the best player there's ever been in Lionel Messi. For me, he is the best footballer ever. A lot of people would say it's between him and another lad I'll come on to in a minute. But for me, Messi 100% walks in. He's everything about that guy I love. Makes football look so easy. There is no way a human being should make what is a difficult sport, as you know, look that simple. And the ball sticks to his feet. He glides round. The stats don't lie. This guy is the best ever. There's no one that comes close statistically. So I have to say that Lionel Messi gets the nod at number 4 for me, mate.
Well, Dan, I kind of cover that on La Liga,
Of course,
and I
yeah.
watched him all season. Do you know he accounted for? I think the team scored 80 goals. He accounted for 43 goals. Either he scored 20 odd, and he broke Xavi's record. He assisted 21. He had 21 assists and 22 goals.
The man is it's not
Ridiculous,
human,
mate.
is it? It is
It's
ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
And I still believe the best performance I ever saw against Arsenal was Messi when he scored 4 goals against us. I just remember him sitting there and my dad saying, "What are we supposed to do about him? Like, what are we supposed to do? It doesn't matter whether you're Cannavaro, Maldini, Philip Senderos, or whoever you were at the time. You ain't stopping that dude.
No,
He is too good.
He
And
was too good.
sometimes you have to hold your hands up and accept that." And the
So
other guy,
that's Who's
that's
number
4, is
5?
it?
That's 4. Yeah.
Number 5 is Cristiano Ronaldo. I can't have Messi without Ronaldo because the pair of them are just going to be such banter at the table. Who's better, me or you? Who's got more Ballon d'Ors, me or you? I don't like the guy. I can't sit there and lie. But what I also can't lie about is how good this dude is. He is outstanding. And although I think Messi's better, if you ask me one man to win you a football game, it would be Ronaldo. 100%. If you said to me now, we've got a really important final, pick one guy, Cristiano Ronaldo is the one you want in your team. And he's proven it for club and country, wherever he's been. He was outstanding at Man United, by far one of their best ever players. Real Madrid's greatest ever player, probably. And of course, Portugal absolutely love him because he's won them Euros hands down on his own. And that's one thing that people say Messi hasn't done. But for me, Ronaldo, exceptional talent.
And also, Dan, let me just chuck this one in at you because, fair enough. Ronaldo's come from Portugal. He came to England, started off pretty slow. Fergie giving him a little bit of leeway. He then starts to work and he starts to get the Premier League and he goes on. I think he scored 40 odd goals one season, didn't he? It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
He goes to Real Madrid and he scores goals and he moves position. He moves position from a winger type to a striker, and his goal output from there has been nothing short of astronomical. It's been ridiculous. And then he goes to Juventus, and he's the quickest player to score 50 goals in Serie A history. And he's well in his 30s. So that just tells you about the stature of Ronaldo. So, boy, this table's got plenty of banter going on, man. I'm telling you. Right. So we're up to 5. You got 5 more to go. Well,
okay. This is hard, man. And this is going to get harder as it goes. Trust me, because I've got some great names to come.
Go on.
So the next one is R9.
Right.
When I was growing up, Kev, when I was at school, I was probably 7 or 8 when this guy hit the scenes, and everybody wanted to be Ronaldo. Yeah, everybody wanted to be Brazilian Ronaldo. At school, I used to wear stuff that was yellow just to be like him because he was that good for Brazil. He was the one that was come before Thierry Henry and obviously Cristiano and Messi, and everybody loved this guy. And he used to get the ball and just run and score, no matter where he was on the pitch. And it was just, how is that so easy for this guy to do that? This guy is an absolute goal machine and a monster. Yeah. And I loved watching him. I loved watching him as a youngster at Barcelona. I loved everywhere he went. I started following him. And he got me into kind of international football, so to speak, really, because obviously I support England without a doubt. But I loved watching Brazil because of him. Just loved it.
Yeah. I mean, that Brazil side, do you remember the adverts they used to make? And you had so many quality players in that squad. And they've done the one in the airport, didn't they, where the ball's going through and they're flicking it through trolleys and all this kind of thing.
And the boots he had on, the R9 boots.
The R9 boots. You know, he was, well, in Italy they call him El Phenomenon because he was just phenomenal. But when Bobby Robson had him at Barcelona, he ripped the league to shreds, like, you know what I mean? He was my favourite striker for many a year because he was just, not only was he so skillful, he was so quick and so direct. He would just pick the ball up and go straight for goal and you couldn't touch him. Dan, I need to see your next 4 because I tell you, well, this is some school. Right, number 7.
Zidane.
Oh, God. Zizou. Oh, my God.
One of the greatest ever in his position, without a doubt. Absolutely outstanding. Made everybody around him better. People talk about 98 and 2000 with France. Yes, they were sensational. And luckily, half of them played for our football team. Yeah. But Zidane's was the best one by far. Yeah. And to say that, you know, Zidane comes ahead of people like Vieira and Petit and the amazing players he had around him, Henry even, Zidane was the one. He gets ahead of Henry even. He's that good. It's just, there's nobody I can see that is ever going to be that good in his position. He was just exceptional. And the goal he scored in the final against Leverkusen from the corner, that volley, still the best volley I've ever seen. Easily gets in, mate. Easily gets in, Kev.
But it's the way he waited for it, isn't it? You could see it. He's waiting for it to come down, and he just cracks. Oh, wow.
Unreal.
Well, you know what? He is an incredible player, and he had a bit about him as well. Do you remember Marco Materazzi when he done him with the nut?
Oh, yeah.
In the chest, you know, he weren't standing for none of that. So, you know, I got a lot of admiration for him. And then he's moved into management now. He's just won La Liga with Real Madrid after going back. So, you know, he's a phenomenal guy. And as he rightly says himself, Dan, he says, I'm not the most tactical, but I know what to do. And that I love that. I just love that. I love that. So, number 8 then.
Okay, number 8 is Ronaldinho.
I tell you what, how you're gonna get him down, I don't know.
I honestly don't know. Ronaldinho, for me, him and Thierry Henry were the best 2 players in the world at that time. I thought there was stuff that he did with a football that he's still the most skillful player I've ever seen. He was the kind of, do you remember when FIFA Street come out? That was because of him. You know, he literally, all them skills he did on the football pitch, people were doing on the street. And it was just like, how is he doing them in a live football game? How is he dribbling past? How is he flicking it up?
And at pace. He's doing it at pace.
Unreal, mate. Unreal. And obviously came into the seams, lobbing one of my favourite goalkeepers of all time, David Seaman. And everyone then hated him from then on. I just couldn't hate him because he was that good.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't hate players that are that good, no matter what they do to you. Luckily against Arsenal, he never really got the time to shine against us. But listen, he was an outstanding footballer and one that I would love to meet. I just love to see what he's like.
Brilliant. Well, I think skill-wise, I don't think I've seen anybody more skillful than him in
Oh,
world football. And I don't know if you remember, this is when Messi was young. Messi was just starting to come into that Barcelona setup. You had Xavi, you had Iniesta, Ronaldinho, and Ronaldinho ran the show. He was by far the best player on the pitch. And you're talking about Xavi and Iniesta. Messi's
yeah.
on the pitch, and Ronaldinho's the main guy. And they played Real Madrid at it was at the Santiago Bernabeu, and he scored 2 goals, and he just ripped them apart. He was just running. He was running riot. So Ronaldinho, my God, listen. I want to be at your table.
I've got to try and whittle this down
I
soon.
know. I don't know how you're gonna do it. Right, we got to number 9 now. Who's 9?
Number 9 is number 9 is Pele.
Oh, for God's sake! You're hurting me now, Dad. You're hurting me. Pele, what a guy, man. What a guy. Old school, but what a guy.
I
3
mean,
World Cups. Oh, what a guy, man.
I talked about Messi stats. Really, I shouldn't be because this guy probably kills him in terms of what he's done for Brazil. It's just outstanding to have that many amount of goals in your locker and to do what he's done in football. You can't not mention the guy. I mean, listen, I wasn't around to see any of it, unfortunately. I was born in 87. But listen, the guy is an absolute genius of the game. So I have to give him a mention, Kev.
Yeah, listen, I second you on that. And do you know what's a pity is the likes of Pele, because they're kind of old school. People won't look at them because today's modern and you get everything. You get all the technology age now. But these guys were incredible players. That 1970 Brazil side, well, they rate as the best ever international side. And Pele was the best player in the best ever international side.
Yeah.
So that tells you everything. And not only was he a goal scorer, he was a team player as well. That really makes a difference, Dan. So who's
Absolutely.
last but not least, mate?
Some people say this is the best player ever, Maradona. Maradona. I mean, everybody says Messi and him are so similar. Obviously, I've grown up seeing Messi, so I'm going to say Messi. But for all accounts, this guy was absolutely just as good. And people say he is one of the best ever. And, I know everyone goes on about hand of God. And, of course, people are going to get frustrated with that. But the goal he scored against us, you can't sit there and say that was lucky. So, you know what I mean? This guy was just a genius to the game. And like Pele, people sometimes forget, and they're always talking about the Messis and Ronaldos. But these two need to be looked at as serious contenders for that because I thought they were both absolutely sensational from what I've seen and what I hear about them.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. And the crazy thing about Maradona, we know he's had his crazy moments, but when he was at Napoli, Italy was brutal at the time. The defending and all that kind of thing was ruthless. He ran Italy. He ran it, and to take Napoli over the line like he did with Careca and all these guys. He's a forever be a son of Napoli. Napoli's a hard place, and they love him to bits because he just made them so proud to be, champions and stuff. So, listen, and internationally, if Gary Lineker had done the hand of God, we wouldn't be complaining. So
that's it. That's it,
look, we hated him for the moment, but you can't do nothing but love him, mate. He's a right character as well, and rightfully so. Arguably one of the best, if not the best player in the world ever. So I think we got to have a process of elimination now, and we're gonna start with your celebs, Dan, because you've got as number 1 you got Denzel Washington, obviously top actor. You got top Formula One driver Lewis Hamilton, who's also a gooner, and you got legend who's no longer with us, but we'll bring him back, who's funny as anything, been through a lot, but unbelievable guy, Robin Williams. So, who out of the three you got to eliminate two?
So hard, man. So hard. Uh, I'm gonna the two I'm gonna eliminate is gonna upset me, but the reasons I'm gonna do it are because it's me. I'm going to pick Robin Williams because Robin Williams will bring humour to the table and he will
So
bring
you're
everyone
gonna leave
together.
him in,
I'm gonna leave him in.
right?
I'm
Lewis
gonna
Hamilton and
eliminate.
Denzel.
Yeah, I'm gonna eliminate Lewis Hamilton and Denzel. Unfortunately,
That makes sense. It makes sense.
you
It
know,
makes
Lewis,
sense.
I love Lewis, and I'd love to meet him one day. Denzel, my favorite actor, and I had to give him a mention. But Robin Williams just brings more to the table than the other two for me. So,
Nice one. You're thinking of the table. I love that.
absolutely.
So Robin Williams goes in. Okay, your management duos. You got Arsene Wenger and Pat Rice, and you got Brian Clough and Peter Taylor. Who's gonna be your? Who's gonna get eliminated?
Okay, I'm going to have to eliminate Clough and Taylor. I'm going to have to, because of my Arsenal background. I cannot leave Arsene Wenger and Pat Rice out, so it has to be them.
Fair enough. That's fair enough. So, Ricey.
Now it gets even harder.
Well, listen. Good luck for this one. So you've got 10 incredible players here. You've got to eliminate 5. I'm gonna keep quiet. I'm gonna leave it all to you now.
So I'm going to go with the ones I'm going to eliminate first,
Mhm.
and I'll leave you with the 5 I want. Wow, this is going to be hard. Okay, so the 5 that I'm going to eliminate. I'm going to eliminate Pele and Maradona, and the only reason I'm going to do it is because I did not grow up loving and watching them like I did some of these other players. So if I was to pick a legendary football table, they probably would get in. However, this is my come to dinner, so I'm going to have to get rid of Pele and Maradona, which I don't want to do, but I have to. And then I've got to somehow get rid of 3 more. So the 3 other players I'm going to get rid of. I'm going to get rid of Ronaldinho. And the reason I'm going to get rid of Ronaldinho is because I never saw him play live. As much as I loved him and thought he was great to watch, I never got to see him live, whereas most of the other players I did. So I'm going to eliminate Ronaldinho. And then this is where it gets hard because I'm going to have to eliminate 2 more. And
Wow.
it's out. It is
Wow.
out. Okay, I've
I
got
know the first 3. I know the first
Yeah.
3 are in.
Yeah, Ian
I kn-
Wright, Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp are in.
I
Just
know
because
they're in. I know they're
it's
in.
me. So now I've got 2 more places
2 places,
between.
and you've got Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, the original R9, and Zinedine Zidane. God.
Ah. Okay, I'm going to eliminate Zidane because as much as I loved the guy and thought he was brilliant in his position, I didn't grow up loving the guy.
Mhm.
I grew up watching and respecting him. The others I grew up loving.
Right.
So now I've got to choose between Messi, Ronaldo, and R9. One I grew up loving in R9. The other I think is the best player in the world in Messi. And the other one I think is right behind him in Cristiano Ronaldo. So I'm going to eliminate, just because I've got to have Messi there, because he's the best player ever, I'm going to eliminate R9, I think, because Cristiano Ronaldo has to be there with him. I know.
Really? You wanted to be R9 in the playground, you wore yellow, and then you eliminated from your table.
I know. It's hard.
Well, it's hard, isn't it? It's your table.
It's so hard. I think Cristiano Ronaldo, the reason I'll pick him just above R9 is because Messi and him are clearly the best. And I'd love to have that chat about what not just they think, but what everybody who's sitting there thinks, because I grew up with these people. And Arsene Wenger has a say on it. Thierry Henry has a say on it after playing against and with both of them. Bergkamp as well. Righty would definitely have his opinion without a doubt.
Without a doubt.
So I think that would be why I would do that. With Ronaldo, with R9, I would be more in awe of the guy and love the guy because I grew up watching him. But the debate, I'm not sure I would have with him, if that makes sense. So I'm
Yeah.
going to go with Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi. But I'm gutted to leave R9 out, man, because I love the guy.
Well, I'm gutted R9's not there either. Look, so we've got Robin Williams as your celeb. We got Arsene Wenger and Pat Rice, who are obviously incredible duo at Arsenal. We got Ian Wright, Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp, Lionel Messi, and Cristiano Ronaldo. Yep.
There we
So
go.
what we're
Yeah.
gonna do, we're gonna set your table. Who sits beside you on your right, Dan?
Ian Wright. On my right. Ian Wright,
Ian
right.
right on your right. Who sits beside you on your left?
Do you know what? I'm going to say Dennis Bergkamp on my left.
And then beside righty,
I will go Arsene Wenger just because I know them two loved each other and there was so much love-hate at times.
okay. And then beside Arsene Wenger,
I'll go Pat Rice because they
Yeah.
deserve to be next to each other.
and on the other side, next to Dennis Bergkamp.
I'll put Dennis next to Cristiano because he's an introvert and Cristiano can sometimes get arrogant. So I'll let Dennis Bergkamp tell him to be quiet.
Okay. So who sits virtually opposite you?
Robin Williams because he's the joker of the table.
He'll be making you laugh as well, wouldn't he,
Yeah,
Robin Williams?
yeah.
Robin Williams, okay. So who sits to Robin Williams' right?
That will be Messi.
Lionel Messi. And obviously there's only one left, isn't there? There's one left who is
Can't even remember who I've not said now.
no, you said Messi.
Was it Henry? Thierry Henry.
Thierry Henry, yep. Thierry Henry is to Robin Williams' left. So let me just read your table, how you've set it up.
Nice.
So you're at one head of the table. To your right, which is my left, is to your right is Ian Wright. To your left is Dennis Bergkamp. So beside right here, we're going to go around that way now. Arsene Wenger, Pat Rice, Thierry Henry, Robin Williams, Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo. Good table, by the way. Good table. Good table. So, Dan, what's your starter?
Oh, do you know what? Okay, this was fun actually. Do you know what? This weird because it was great putting the celebrities down. I thought I love my food, man. I love my food.
Good.
So I was like, do you know what? Let's sort this out properly. So I'm gonna go for a prawn cocktail starter. Right? I'll go for a prawn cocktail starter. And because everybody loves a prawn cocktail. Then I'm gonna go with a main course of medium rare fillet steak.
Medium rare fillet steak, right?
With dauphinoise potatoes.
Oh.
Just to be different. And then some roasted broccoli and tomatoes with a choice of peppercorn or mushroom sauce, whichever you take your fancy for. Or no sauce if you don't want it. That's why it's a choice. Right?
Yeah.
And then my dessert is a sticky toffee pudding with custard, man. Everybody loves sticky toffee pudding.
Sticky toffee pudding. Oh, mate. Pudding and custard.
It's got to be done, man.
And your 2 drinks of choice at the table. Forget water and all that. I'll provide the water and the and the sparkling water. But what's your 2 tipples of choice?
So I've gone for a nice bottle of red wine. Nice red wine for everyone.
Yep.
And if you're not up for wine, then Peroni lager. Peroni beer. Love Peroni.
Nice one. Lovely. So I'm gonna chuck a little curveball at you now.
Go on in.
Of all the ones you eliminated,
okay,
you can choose 2 people to serve you drinks and the food. Which 2 would you choose?
Wow, that's a great question. Okay. Do you know what I'm going to do? Because I can't choose. Oh, my God. That's so hard. Do you know what I'm going to do? Okay, this is what I'm going to do. So, because I can't choose between these outstanding footballers.
Don't go the easy route.
The one of them have to be football and one have to be a celebrity.
You can do whatever you want.
Okay. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna pick one footballer and one celebrity. That's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna allow Denzel Washington to make his appearance and come out and serve us some food because he needs to make an appearance. That guy's a hero, and everybody else will be in awe of him as well because
We'll
he's
buzz
such
to it.
a
Yeah, we'll buzz on that. Yeah.
exactly because they love him. And then what I'm going to do is I have to put R9 in here somewhere, so he's going to have to get involved. He's going to have to get involved, man, and he can come and serve us some drinks. Ronaldo,
Well,
R9.
well, that'll be absolutely brilliant. So you've picked all your waiters and your servers. You've picked your food. Right. Let's get down to asking. What would you ask Ian Wright at the table? You've had a couple of drinks. You sat down. What's a question you would ask Ian Wright, mate?
Do you know what? It's a great one because out of all of the amazing people I've just spoken to, some people on here that perhaps aren't Arsenal fans or just football fans would say, "Oh, okay, Ian Wright was great, but he wasn't in that same bracket." He's the one I would struggle to ask questions to because I'd just be in absolute awe.
You're
It would
nervous,
just,
yeah.
honestly, I'd go mad. I'd be nervous. I'd be shaking. I'm sure he'd settle me down because he's such a hero and such a great guy. But for me, I would be asking Ian Wright what it means for him to be a Arsenal fan. And the reason I want to ask that is because it becomes so obvious when I watch him on TV how much he loved the club and how much he loved the fans. And I'd like to ask him, what does it mean to him to be Arsenal? Because he is one of us. When I look at him, he's one of me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And on the pitch, he was one of us. The celebrations, the fans. So that's what I'd ask him: is what does it mean to you to be Arsenal, and what relationship can you have to link yourself as an Arsenal fan? That would be for me what I would ask Ian Wright because I just love the guy, as you know.
Love that. I love that. That's a good question, actually. And what question would you ask Arsene Wenger and Pat Rice? Damn.
I would have to dig in deep with Arsene Wenger. I'd love to have an hour with that guy. I would love to ask Arsene Wenger what happened with the move to the Emirates and what is there that you're not telling us about the metrics and the spend and how much control was that of you and how much of it was out of your hands. I'd just love to know that because I think people are so up in arms and they have different opinions about it. I'd like to hear it from the horse's mouth. What is it that you found hard or difficult about managing Arsenal in the modern day? Because it seemed to me as soon as he went into the modern day, he turned into different philosophy and a different manager, and it went a bit wrong for him, let's be honest. But why was that? Why do you think it didn't work at Arsenal for you for the next sort of 10 years as your previous successful 10 years? So that's what I'd ask Arsene.
Well, I think I think that's tied in with Pat Rice anyway, because obviously they come as a duo, isn't it? So, it'd be interesting. We know Arsene Wenger's got a book coming out as well, Dan. So
Yeah,
that's going to be really interesting if he reveals anything in his new
I
book.
hope he does, man.
I hope
Yeah,
so too, because you know what, a lot of us fans want to know. We'd
yeah.
like to know. Even we're not saying he has to open the whole cupboard and show us everything, but even to know a little bit about what his restrictions were would be really interesting.
Mm.
Okay, and Thierry Henry, what would you ask Thierry?
I love Thierry. I do love Thierry. I would ask him, what happened with your move from Arsenal to Barcelona? Did you want to go? What made you decide to go? And how much did it hurt you? I'd love to ask him that because I know what we want to hear, but we might not
Hear
always get
what
the
you
whole
want to hear.
truth.
Yeah, you
Absolutely.
might not hear what you want to hear. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd have to ask him that because I don't hate the guy for leaving, absolutely not, because he was a legend for the club. But I'd like to hear what he's got to say about it, 100%.
And would you like to chuck in how much did it mean when he came back? Because I think that that him coming
Oh,
back was special. Oh my God.
well, do you know what? That could actually answer the question for me because when he come back, that was exceptional, and I was so excited. And I was there for the Leeds game where he scored the goal
Yeah.
right in my corner. He come and run up to, and I thought, oh, I even love the guy even more. And he scored one of the best goals at the first year at the Emirates with the last-minute header against Man United. You
Yeah.
know, people forget about that. That's his last goal he scored for the club when he first was here. So, yeah, love the guy, and that's what I'd ask him. And listen, these players love Arsenal. I'm sure they do.
Listen, once you get into that Arsenal and Arsenal gets into you, you never forget that football club, mate. So,
Mm.
what would you ask Robin Williams,
Ooh.
Dad?
Do you know what? Do you know what? With this one, I would love to know more about him in terms of how he keeps positive and finds his humour, because he's a very, very funny man. But you normally find with funny men that you never really know what makes them laugh.
Mhm.
So I'd love to know what Robin Williams does in his spare time to keep him positive, because I've read up a lot about this guy, and I know that he's been severely depressed and had a lot of mental health problems before. And as someone who can relate to that, I always find that there's releases in my life that is football and Arsenal and
Yeah,
family and
yeah.
friends and stuff like that. And I just want to know how he dealt with that and what makes him laugh and makes him happy, because I love Robin Williams and I've got so much time for him. I think he's an unbelievable human being.
Fantastic. Yeah, listen, I think asking him about what makes him tick, I think is a really good one because, a lot of these stars, people just see them as stars and nobody wants to know about them personally. You know what I mean? They yeah, you were great in Missed Out for, you were great in this and Goodwill Hunting and all this kind of thing. But, you know, actually asking them about them, I'm sure he would appreciate that, mate. So we get to the best player in the world right now, Lionel Messi. What would you ask him?
Do you know what I'd ask Messi? I'd ask him if I can ask him if he'd be okay if I take a test on him to make sure he's a human being. That's what I'd ask, because that guy, there is no way that he's human. In all seriousness, I want to ask, like with Robin Williams, I want to ask him who his idols are, because obviously you look at the obvious choices of Maradona, and I'd love to know who he looked up to as a footballer, because for me, he's outshone all of his heroes.
Mm.
And I'd love to know what that feels like, and to see if he actually believes he's achieved that, because surely you have, as a footballer or as any kind of career, you look up to your role models. And when do you know that you've outshone them and you've beaten them? So I'd love to ask someone who I believe has in Messi and see how he feels about that, because I believe he's definitely the best player that's ever lived. I really do.
Yeah, well, again, you say to anybody who's the best player that ever lived, and you've got half of them, in your list. Let's be honest, you know what I mean? You've got a good amount at your table. So, incredible, incredible player. And then, all right, we're going to move to the second best, or arguably the best player in the world, Cristiano Ronaldo. What would you ask Cristiano?
I want to know how close he came to joining Arsenal. I want to know, because there's rumors he was around the training ground. There's rumors he was like gonna sign, and then he went to Man United. And I want to know how close he came, but also why he came close. What was it about us that he wanted? Was it the fact that at the time we were one of the best in the world? We'd just gone unbeaten. We were so close to getting him, from what I hear, and I'd love to know how close it was, because imagine Ronaldo in an Arsenal shirt. Wow, it would have been special.
Dan, do you know what I could tell you about transfers? Close to getting somebody is not right, because you can't be close to getting somebody and not get them, because you
Yeah.
see, once you get them in your building, you've got to make sure once they don't leave your building without
Mm.
signing. Do you know what I mean? That's the key. So all this close, we nearly signed this one and nearly signed that. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it, because it hurts me to think
I
what he
know.
would have been like. But would he have been the same player at Arsenal that he was at Man United? Listen, I don't know, but that's a good question. Okay, last but not least, the Magic Dutchman, Dennis Bergkamp. What would you ask Dennis?
This guy I've got so much time for, but one thing that sticks out for me with Dennis Bergkamp is his attitude and his mental strength and his desire and passion. And I just want to know where that comes from,
Mm.
because he apparently, when you speak to Wrighty and Merce, they were just like, this guy just stays after training every day. He is who we all look up to. And I want to know who he kind of got that from, or if it's just an instinct inside, because people say, "Oh, who's the best player you played with?" A lot of people say Dennis Bergkamp. So I want to know who his kind of best player he played with was, but where he gets that strength and mental attitude from. Is it from a person? Is it from growing up? Is it educational? Or is it just kind of instinctive inside him and what he wants? Because for me, you could just tell he was 100% focused all the time in training. And, Van Persie, and on the pitch, Van Persie said when he came, he was sat signing the contract and he was watching them all train. And I remember him doing a documentary and saying, I looked at them while I was waiting for people to come to me with a drink, and I was just watching them in training. And he said they were playing piggy in the middle. He said, and Dennis Bergkamp didn't give the ball away once, and he was 37 years old. That's unbelievable to not do that. And they were like mucking around. Everyone was losing it, going in the middle, and
Yeah,
he didn't lose it once. And I just thought, wow, how
quality.
is that possible?
Got
Just
so
top
much
draw.
quality. Yeah, he's got
So I
so
want
much.
to ask him where that comes from.
And I think the upbringing at Ajax might. I'm sure he's going to mention that Ajax upbringing because they listen. That look at the players who came through at Ajax.
Oh, amazing.
It was incredible, wasn't it? That Dutch system, produces these guys at the time. There was a lot of top youngsters. But Dan, listen, we've got to the end. Listen, you've got Denzel Washington doing impressions of training day at the table, serving you, and you got R9. There might be some murders with Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo about who's the best on that side of the table at least. But listen, thanks for coming on and sharing your guess who's coming to dinner. I think there's a lot of people who would cheer your 10 players. I could tell you that much, and your celebs, by the way. I think it's really good.
Thank you, mate. Listen, it's been an absolute pleasure. I really enjoyed that, man. Really, really enjoyed it. And it's something different as well, Kev, So I've never done anything like that before. When you said to me about it, I was like, get me on. Let's do this. Let's do this. And it was tough, because there's some really good people there. Really good people. But we got through it, man.
So Dan, what have you got planned coming up? Anything planned coming up? Any new pods, or you just doing the what is still the same old Arsenal, or what's happening for you?
So yeah, cheers, Kev. Same old Arsenal was on every Monday at 7:30. We're going to be doing that after the Watford game on the Sunday. We'll be doing the show on the Monday, and then we're going to be doing a preview on the Friday night with yourself and Lee Judges, and hopefully Sophie Rose is coming on as well.
Right.
We can talk about Arsenal Chelsea's cup final game, and hopefully, after we've beaten them in the FA Cup final, we can have a celebration on the Monday night Same Old Arsenal podcast. So please come and subscribe to us over at Twitter at Same Old AFC in capitals. And if you want to follow myself on Twitter, then it's at DanArsenal87. But Kev, thank you so much, mate.
Now, listen, top man, and Pottsy, it's always great having you on, mate, because do you know what? Lee Judges had Ian Wright serving the drinks.
Oh,
I've just got to tell you that one. I'm not going to tell you no more. He had him serving drinks, so you could give him a bit of stick about that. Listen, take care, Dan, and we'll see you soon, mate.
top man, Kev. Top man, Kev.